Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cabela's, Cuddyback, America's Best Bowstrings, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, Hoyman Tree Saws, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, RTP Outdoors, Spot Hog Releases, Wasp Archery, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
All that rat, man. There's like $5 in there. Did you just get that on video?
Brett.
This is the first time I've been on the camera. Really don't know what to say.
Yep. Well, that was a pretty classic hunt here for a food plot late season.
So it is January 2nd today, finally of 2019, and we're here just to kind of recap what our 2018 season was. So we started out the summer pretty good. We had a lot of velvet bucks that we were after, and we kind of targeted them right away. A lot of activity on the trail cameras as well. And then throughout that time, it just kept on picking up. And then right away in September, I still remember opening day. It was terrible. Mosquitoes were everywhere, so we were waiting to get out a little later, and Brandon actually had some luck. He shot a doe later in September, and then it was still kind of slow, but towards October it started picking up.
He's got so much stuff. The reason we came back here is because earlier this morning we saw that 10-pointer with all the stuff in his rack. We're actually gonna call him Charmin because it looks like he's got some toilet paper in his rack. He's a shooter, right? I think so.
Yeah, that's him. Oh man.
About 10-15-ish. And I just saw the buck Charmin that we're after. All of a sudden we see Charmin pop out. Came probably 60 yards from us. He actually did see the buck Charmin that we've been after. He saw him 2 or 3 times. But he saw him out here about 20-30 yards from the stand. So I'm hoping he does the same thing he kind of did yesterday. Last week, Saturday, he bred a doe right out in front of us, straight east of us, about 60 yards. Same stand Hunter shot his out of last year, and where we've been having all the encounters with Charmin. I see him. Yeah. Oh, I see him. Dude, I see him. He's in the back. Unfortunately, none of us saw Charmin again. Not really sure where he ended up.
As we entered October, it really started to heat up. Me and Hunter did an observation sit one morning in a redneck, and it was the first morning that we ended up seeing the buck we named Charmin, and he became the buck we went after for the next following weeks. We had multiple encounters with him, and you know what, I think he just kind of won this year. The closest he ever got to us was about 60 yards and bred a doe right in front of us. He made the season a lot of fun this year. It was just unfortunate that we were unable to connect with him, but we did have a good gun season out there. My family ended up getting 3 bucks. A mature buck my dad shot, and my sister shot 2 bucks. So it was a great time out there with family. And we've had the cameras out there since gun hunting, and we've checked them a couple days ago actually, and still no sign of Charmin. We do have Grandpa, who was on our hit list in the beginning of the year. He's still alive, and a buck that we nicknamed Browse, who we found out throughout the season. We actually filmed him a couple times too. So our next year looks pretty great. I know there's going to be a lot of bucks around, so stay tuned and see you next year. Thanks for watching.
Now that the season's done here in Michigan, we want to just take a minute to wrap up our season and kind of talk about some of the interesting things that we did this year. It started off with our food plots and our preseason preparations, and then it rolled into October hunting here in Michigan. And we did a little bit of hunting in and around agriculture fields and our food plots, and we saw quite a few deer, but we never got anything close enough for a good shot. And then we moved out into our rut hunt, which took place in Nebraska and Ohio this year. We went to Nebraska the last week of October and the first week of November, and we saw a few deer, but we had issues with standing corn. All the deer were in and around standing corn. We could hear them chasing and running all throughout the corn, but we couldn't ever get them to come into the creek and ditches that border the corn. And then we went to Ohio for the second part of our rut hunt and hunted some of the hill country down there. And the first property we went to, we boated in to get away from the public land crowds, and sure enough it worked. We only ran into one hunter the whole time we boated in, and unfortunately that piece didn't have a lot of deer. We saw very few deer. We did get a couple trail cam pictures of deer during daylight, so they were moving during daylight when they were there. There just wasn't a very high deer density. So we decided the last couple days to move to a different property and hopefully to change up our luck, and it did. We ended up seeing 3 bucks and 4 sits on that second property we hunted. Unfortunately, we just ran out of time to adjust our stands and make a move on them. So that ended our rut hunt, and that brought us back here to Michigan for the end of November. The gun season here in Michigan, we always stay off of our properties. We let it settle down, and we get caught up on everything that we missed while we were gone out of state hunting for the last couple weeks. So we got everything around for the late season hunt and waited for gun season to end to start our late season bow hunting. Once the gun season ended, we started our late season hunt around our food plot property, and unfortunately this year we only had a couple of days with snow on the ground here in December. In the past and again this year, we see very little deer movement during daylight on that property unless we get some snow. The deer just like to stay back in the swamp and the thick cover eating browse unless there's snow. If there's snow, they'll pour out during the daylight and hit our food plots, hit the agriculture fields that are on the neighbor's property. But without snow, they do not move very much during daylight. And unfortunately this year, we've had very little snow. So that brought us to the end of the season. Very little deer movement all month of December. All of our trail cameras were during the night, so unfortunately it made a very tough late season. So that brought us to the end of the season, and now that the season's ended, we have started our postseason scouting and some projects we have for the off season. Once again, we're going to be going down to some Midwestern states like Iowa and Illinois to do some shed hunting. I've got a dog trained to find sheds, so we're looking forward to getting out end of February and March and start shed hunting. And then of course that'll bring us into turkey season, then food plot season, and back into summer scouting and fall preparation. So we got a lot in store for this off season, and we look forward to you joining us again next year on Midwest Whitetail Great Lakes.